So in 3 months, I turn 30. So that is 10 years spent in my 20s. And it feels like a long time. It feels like I could have learnt more, but it feels like I've also made a lot of progress. So I'm going to share with you what you could call the wisdom of my 20s, and hopefully it will help you or might guide you as well, or maybe you just want to hear about it. Um, so, turn of where am I? 20 years old. I am just starting university. Took a year out because didn't do very well at school. Start university, very insecure. Kind of just want to have fun, mess around. Too immature. Just want to escape essentially and do what I think I'm entitled to do, which is just not really engage in adult life and just do what quote unquote everyone else is doing, although everyone else is studying. And that gets me into my next point. I was not studying at uni, I was just messing around. I spent a lot of my early mid 20s messing around. At the start, it was definitely like an immature bury your head in the sand. I think then, probably though, in my mid 20s, I didn't know what to put my finger on, but I wasn't content. I didn't know where to, I didn't know where I fit, but I didn't know where I fit. I was just kind of paddling against the stream, not knowing what to do. I started even a good job having left uni after 1 year, but it didn't work out. I was still too immature, still didn't know my fit. Um, Finishing that job, worked as a yoga teacher, worked as a PT, just thinking, oh, like, I'll find my calling, just go for it. But it just still wasn't me. I at least was searching, and I was searching, but now how I relay it, and as I still kind of am, I'll get back onto what I'm doing now later, but I was very entitled, and I was really living off of the grace of my parents as they hoped I would kind of find my feet doing these kind of different alternative jobs that I was saying I felt passionate about. Um, Certainly, there, from my experience, I definitely fell into the trap, which I'm sure it's very common where my parents want the best for me and they love me very much, but they weren't able to pull the plug on my immaturity because it's just when you've been raised a bit of a brat and you've got some privilege, like I'm middle class, I'm not like freaking riding around on ponies, but they don't feel comfortable pulling the rug from under your feet. Who knows? Maybe if I'm 22 and they go, you know what, you are a dick. You are a dick, and you'll need to suffer for a bit to understand what being an adult is like. Maybe it would have served me better. Um, but thank God that thank God they didn't. But yeah, a lot of searching, a lot of searching. I think the difficulty with me is, and I think this is something that still stands true, is that I'm not a conventional person. Even now, where I feel quite aligned in what I'm doing, I'm still don't feel like I'm on a conventional route where like I know where I'm going. Like all of my friends seem to, um, and they're so much more established than me now as I approach 30. Um, but yeah, a theme I touched on, which didn't really explore a lot, is just the insecurity that come from sort of like teenage years, and then it's playing out. It's kind of like most bratish in the early 20s when you're probably being, you're now an adult. When you're now an adult, your bubble of teenagehood has burst. Um, Some think that maybe I'm now managing better as I approach 30 is to like, or maybe certainly there's been a big transition from just being insecure to not knowing you're insecure, but kind of perhaps accepting some of it to kind of embedding and integrating it, or what those softer parts are of your personality as you approach 30, because you begin to, or I begin to accept um, who I am. Yeah, yeah. Like, would I have made a video about being insecure when I was 20? Absolutely not. Would I have loved to tell other people they're insecure with them when I was 20? Absolutely, I would have. So that that probably goes that says a lot about the nature of insecurity and just being a dick in general. But certainly feel like I've come to a large degree full circle with it. Um, I feel like from again starting from teenage years and then rearing its ugly head in the 20s is like the wanting and the needing of things you think you need to be okay, and it's this maybe really stereotypical kind of theme we associate with like young people and people on social media, even though I wasn't even on social media, but it's like this: I want everything now. I need everything to be okay. And did I know I wanted everything? Probably I knew I wanted everything, but I had no idea that I didn't need everything. When I mean everything, imagine anything anyone out there is imagining, oh, I just need to have body, I just need to have this much money, I just need to have this type of friendship group, I just need to have whatever. Anything you think, these things you think you need, these desires that you think you need to be okay, definitely caught up in that when actually, and to be fair, it's still really hard now. Like you are okay as you are, and I know that's like very fluffy sort of like motivational talk, but it really is true, but it's something we have to remind ourselves of regularly because it's so, or something certainly I do, it's certainly so easy to feel like the things you have aren't enough, like you're not enough, like things aren't okay. um, but when really they are, and well, like, oh, look at me, I'm freaking living in the UK, middle class, kind of, look where I am now. Like, what more do I need? Things are okay, really, for everyone. They just need to figure it out for themselves. Um, but come end of 30s, right? Come end of 20s now. Do I know who I am? I think I've certainly got some greater and a greater understanding of the edges of who I am. I am. This sounds really. This is quite provocative, but I've come to accept that I am just quite a sweet person, and I don't think that's something that I would have associated with as good. Like, I'm quite kind and conscientious, but I would have associated that previously as like, oh, it's too soft, like it's just too um, it's feeling just too emasculated to say that. But now I've come to terms with that is who I am, even though I can be a bit prickly around the edges. I am genuinely thoughtful. I'm genuinely thoughtful. I'm genuinely kind, and I think accepting, like, it's this idea of like, oh, what what Harry Potter house would you be in? And it's like, oh, come on, put me in like Gryffindor, put me in Slytherin, and it's like, oh, I'm just a Hufflepuff, and like that, that's like, so seems so dumb, but it's been really profound for me. It's just like, yeah, I'm just a Hufflepuff, Huffly Puffly, as my girlfriend calls it. I'm just a kind, sweet person. I'm like a hobbit in the Shire. I just want to have a nice, easy life. I like helping people. Um, I don't like seeing people be upset, although I can. But then that plays a contrast to potentially my sense of humor, which could also be linked to insecurity, where it's like I do like to have that dark sense of humor, um, get personal, if as long as it's kind of in good taste. Um, But yeah, accepting that has been challenging. Accepting all the bits that you push, all the bits like that you push away when you're younger, um, and just embracing them now as I approach 30 has been really key. I think um, to my personal growth and to my development. Like the life feels so slow and easy and comfortable. Like kind of like I'm getting the picture of like coffee shop, um, diffused lighting. Um, if you were, kind of like the ASMR where you just hear your breakfast cooking on the pan, like that's okay. Like that's my life. It's just calm and it's easy and it's free of, um, yeah, generally free of like nastiness, prickliness. Um, I've even again another theme is I've moved away from kind of like even like quite boyish banter. Maybe there's just like a sign of maturity. Like don't get me wrong, like I love a poo joke. Um, will admire a drawing of a dick I see on any desk I sit down at. But just the kind of chimp mentality again. It's something you struggle, something I've struggled with. Nothing I've struggled with, but it's something I've had to reconcile because it's that chimp mentality is like generally the male way of interacting, um, and therefore that's like a mass way of communication with one gender, and so to reject that is then feel quite, um, feel slightly outcast, but then actually understanding, like that actually isn't just that, it just isn't me, and if I do feel more removed from certain types of individuals, like a more generic dude, then that's okay. And that's been that's I guess the crux of this is like you are who you are, and you have to be okay with that, and then you can get on with your life. Um, I want to wrap this up, but if I was to have to meet my 20-year-old self now, I would tell him to stop beating around the bush of what you want. Like when you're 20, it's like you're a baby. You can be thrown around. You're robust. You can go and, like your parents did, kick you out or whatever. You can figure shit out. Like you're 20. Um, you can be thrown around like, well, the image of just being whirled around in a dishwasher, but you're gonna just come out sparkly clean. A few bubbles in your gullet, but you're gonna be fine. So I wish I'd tell myself to really get stuck. I'd get stuck into something. I wish I'd spent my 20s better preparing financially. Um, in the UK, certainly, like kind of my middle class upbringing, been a big focus on education. Most of my friends work in professional services, because that's like the de facto way of establishing yourself, being part of that broader, um, London economy. Um, but I wish I'd just told myself, look, these are some talents that you have, or these are things that you are better aligned to. Drop this idea of needing to be fit into that, and go and just spend some years here. You'll be, like it'll pay dividends, later down the line. My friends who have figured out a way of making money early, and then they can figure out what they really want to do with their life whilst having their own financial security late or mid 20s, I think they've made the best decisions. Um, so I would say maybe, I think I'm maybe something in construction, maybe something in property, is what I wish I'd done. I should have never attempted to do economics. I fucking hate studying. I don't like being isolated. I get too twitchy, sat down for something I'm not passionate about. I like working with people. and I have a really low tolerance for things that I don't like doing, hence the failing it in the first place. Albeit, which is a shame though, because I am naturally probably above average intelligence, probably like the whole of the UK, um, most of that given by my upbringing. Um, but would have been enough to work with it in. Well, I am working with it currently now in an educational environment, um, but it's not something I really needed to. It's not so much a talent that I really needed to like nurture it. Like it's not that big a deal, but it's reasonable enough that to probably to the out to other people that I would go and do something and like go and do a degree or whatever. I'm conscious not making myself sound like an asshole. But yeah, make of that what you will. So I wish I'd gone and done something where I could actually just get some security. I think this is the big con of the generation we've had is that go to university. This is how you get prosperity because that's how people did it. Like I don't know, 30 years ago. This is no longer true. It's like if you want security, go and get security. If you want security, don't go and get a thing that you think will get you security. No, go direct, get security. Um, I will potentially not make those mistakes when I have kids. We'll just have to see about that. Um, Otherwise, I would tell myself get into a good routine, go and get yourself on a pathway, even if it takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Just get yourself on a pathway that ends up in you having some sort of security, potentially enjoying the work you do, potentially having some freedom at the end of it to work on your own terms, or the freedom to work on other things that you might feel more passionate about, whilst having the foundation. Financial security. I could have even done maybe like some digital marketing, just something like that, something that has like a direct line to um, financial security. Yeah. I think on the whole, not a major part, and I'm probably going to make a ton of videos on this. Is I grew up watching television. I think I'm probably like the first generation who got access to like porn growing up on the internet, and I think just going too much internet time, too much being hooked onto. It's not just about like porn, but just like television and stuff like that. Like I didn't grow up in a world where you're riding bikes and stuff like that. I grew up just like watching films and watching TV. And if I was hanging out with my friends, it would be when I was like a child. It would be in kind of pre-organized events, and my parents would never to know that. To be fair, maybe I'm just talking rubbish, but I think those things have had a negative effect. In some respects, I wish I'd never had digital devices because I think they've robbed me of too much mental bandwidth. But that's certainly something I'm changing now, having removed all of that, or removed a lot of it. Just finding my own feet and my own interests in like reading and hobbies or whatever. Like, seems really casual, but if you look at maybe yeah, okay, fine. You look at people or whatever, and they're really plugged in right now. Like right now, everyone's vaping. If you think of all the things that people are just so addicted to that they can't live without, like television, like vapes, um, like porn, like maybe like mm, what else? Yeah, relationships, neediness. I've definitely had some of that growing, like in the early 20s, mid 20s. But just all these things that you don't, all these things that are so prevalent in society that take up all your time. People swiping through Tinder, fucking begging for, sorry, shouldn't swear, begging for dates, whatever, all this stuff. Um, you don't need it. You don't need it, and it. The point is, it draws your attention away from your the the best version of yourself. If you're spending all your time escaping, watching television, vaping, eating rubbish, and it's not like, oh, you should eating crisps is so bad for you, didn't you know? But it's like when you're in that mindset of just like, oh, like I need something to hit, I need something right now to escape, and you can't delay that gratification beyond 2 minutes. So you are eating rubbish, you're just doing all this dumb stuff. Um, it pulls you away from who you are. Certainly in the last year, I realised, yeah, I like reading. Like I like it sounds so trivial, but like I'm not that fussed about beer. I just want to sit, have a coffee, read my book, um, go for a walk, have a chat. Um, really appreciating the value of those things. But when you're plugged in, um, you can't, and you can be. People are plugged in that we're going to see people getting being plugged in their whole life. We're going to see some really adverse effects from social. Not it's not just this, but it's like social media, from TikTok, from vaping, from the absolute inability to concentrate. And I wish I'd grabbed that sooner, because now the irony. I said like one really ironic um, manifestation into my 20s is that I'm doing a book club, even though I refused to read when I was a teenager, with people that I took my English classes with when I was at school. And I enjoy reading. I enjoy thinking now, but I didn't when I was younger because I was just more occupied with escaping just um, trivial, immature, egotistical things. So yeah, maybe the 20s is about reducing the disillusionment that we find ourselves in when we don't know who we are. But now I'm 30. I'm very lucky. Met a great woman in my 20s. I found my calling. I don't know specifically what it is, but I'm going to be a fantastic therapist. Maybe after everything I've told you, you're thinking, why on earth is he doing that? Um, he doesn't sound like he has the wisdom to be doing that. Nevertheless, though, I'm going to do it. Um, but yeah, I found out who I am. Maybe that's the bit about being a therapist, is it took me a long time to find out what I am exactly, and it's been tough. I wish it'd been easier at times, but maybe in 10 years' time, if I make another video, I'll be really glad that it took me so long to find out what I wanted to do, because it'll pay so many dividends being better aligned to my purpose for the rest of my life than it would have just settling into a stable career early on. Still got some stuff to work through. I am confident, but I've noticed I'm really beginning to pay attention to the extent to which that is a performance, and I would like to make that more natural in my 30s, which is something I've only just begun to work on. I would like to ingrain a better work ethic. I would like to build my confidence so I feel really assured in myself and what I am and what I do, and that will come hopefully by pursuing my career. I would like to get married. I'd like to be a dad. I would like to be I would like to be respected. I'd like to be part of a community where I feel like I'm doing good work and held in good esteem. Maybe that maybe I maybe that is a contradiction against not wanting to be insecure, but yeah, we'll see about that. I probably made more good decisions than I have bad. I think, although I've made some poor decisions in my 20s, um, I'm very lucky to have a very good family. And even though they've lovingly supported some of my poor decisions, they've given me a level head and plenty of space to redeem them, which I'm really grateful for. Um, I have a very good life, and I have a great platform to continue making good decisions and build the sort of life that I can be proud of, that makes me feel very content. Life, I just find, and then I'm trying to bring this back to other people. Um, Life happens slowly. I think it happens slowly. Um, I remember seeing ages ago, it's like, oh, maybe something like you're going to find out who you are in your 20s or your 30s or something like that. And it's like, why does it take such a long period of time to find out who you are? But you need to go through a lot of things. I think this decade has taught me you need to go through a lot of things for the needle in your life to move. Yeah. The only way that can be sped up is by making particularly brash moves, or by finding possibly particularly excellent wisdom, and then finding ways of listening to it. I think it comes back to this point where you don't do something until you've learned from the mistake. That's generally how human beings operate. You need to touch the fire, be burnt, to realize, oh, I'm not going to do that again. And that's why it takes a long period of time, because even though someone has all that wisdom already ahead of you, you need to go and make all the mistakes to truly ingrain um, the significance of it. You need to maybe ruin your first marriage to then go and understand all the mistakes you made and have a particularly loving one in the second. For example, do you ever, maybe that's a bad example, not applicable to everyone, but certainly be in a career, be in a job you hate, to appreciate the aspects of one you do like more reasonable. Um, but to break that cycle, you would have to, I think, probably one of the best things, and this is what I say about I wish I'd just picked a career a bit younger, established myself, is once you're fixed into a pathway, you can't remove yourself from it. So potentially, had I joined the army aged 18 and stuck it out till I was 29, I would be a wildly different person, because that pathway molds you. You're no longer self guided. All the external influences you bring into your life mold you. If I took drama lessons, if I took stand up comedy lessons, if I had joined CrossFit age 18, if I had done boxing from the age of 18, I would be significantly different, because I'm ingrained into a external influence. So I would advise people to pick good pathways. There are good pathways. There are great pathways. Um, you need to, if you don't know who you are, fine, but don't waste your life. Don't waste your youth. I think I'm really conscious of, don't waste your youth. We're going to be old one day, and we're not going to have the body or the ability to undo or to make things happen. We're going to be old. We're going to be just kind of sitting on whatever figurative or literal pile of gold we've managed to accumulate. So don't waste the time to build it. Um, there are some sober, drunken ramblings from a 29-year-old. I hope it helps. Good luck.